Welcome to Heroes of the Heart. I am delighted today to be joined by our hero of the heart, Kathryn Yarborough, who is a vibrant speaker coach and a manifesting clients mentor for women entrepreneurs. Kathryn teaches her clients how to become engaging, expressive, and impactful speakers who attract clients. She is the founder of the Manifesting Clients Academy and an inspirational speaker and best-selling author. Welcome to Heroes of the Heart, Kathryn. It's so great to have you. And there's your book. Why don't you hold that up for just a second longer? So keep moving forward.
Yes, a guide for the on-purpose solopreneur. There are a few keep moving forward books in Amazon. So we got to make sure it's got my name and a guide for the on-purpose solopreneur and a little car on it. So anyhow, just saying.
I noticed that when I did a Google search, I put in keep moving forward, and there were numerous authors that came forward in that search. So you got to make sure you got the right keep moving forward. Tell me about the inspiration behind writing that book.
Well, for several years, I had a few different inspirations for writing a book. It was like, oh, you should write a book about this. Oh, you should write a book about that. Oh, you should write a book. And I think I actually sat down and started writing about 2 books before this one came out. And what happened for me with this book was that I was divinely inspired to write it. I was kind of pushed to write it. Basically, the message that came through was that I needed to write it so I knew what I was here to teach.
That's interesting.
It was interesting. And yeah, it's very interesting how life has evolved since I published it last August and the changes that have happened as a result or afterwards. It's very interesting. Yeah, but I really feel good. Some of the material in the book are concepts and experiences that I've had, and some of the stuff that came through actually helped me to better understand this path of the on-purpose solopreneur and being a spiritual person who is growing a business.
Absolutely. I liked your definitions, and I would like for you to share what is an on-purpose solopreneur. What distinguishes them from, say, a not on-purpose solopreneur?
Well, I appreciate that question. And I know that you, before we even got started, you spoke about what I wrote about in the book. And I quite honestly don't remember everything I said in the book. So I'll wing this here. And it's probably a lot like what's there. So there are entrepreneurs who decide to become an entrepreneur because it's something that makes sense to them. They have a better way to do it than their boss did it, or something like that. Or they want time freedom and they think being an entrepreneur, they're going to get it. Of course, some people might. Maybe they think they're going to make a lot of money if they're an entrepreneur. So there's different reasons, and there's different regular type businesses that people just do, like a lawyer practice. That's a regular type business. And most of them are probably not on purpose. Some might be. And a realtor is a regular type business. Those kinds of things, a restaurant, for the most part, they're not necessarily called to do what they do. For me, an on-purpose solopreneur is called to do what they're doing. It is, in order to fulfill their purpose, they need to do this work. So it is in alignment with their spiritual path. Actually doing the business, providing the service is in alignment with who they are here to be. And if they don't do it, then there's a sense of not fulfillment.
Absolutely. And I really appreciate that and resonate with that. Most of my career was either crunching numbers or making numbers crunch for me. In other words, I was a programmer and accountant. And what diverted me from that path was feeling although at the time I would not have been able to put it in those words, I was feeling very out of purpose. I was making good income. People revered me for, what I could do with Excel spreadsheets and blah, blah, blah. But it was a drag. I mean, it was not an easy job for me emotionally. And I felt very disconnected. I like what your friend and mentor and associate Sue Fitzmaurice put in the foreword of the book, that spirituality is that which gives life meaning. Hmm. There's a lot of I don't know, resistance and different thoughts and so forth around, are we spiritual people? Are we not spiritual people? I think people who identify as being spiritual, are pretty readily identify as such. But there's also seems to be a lot of people who are like, I don't know if I'm a spiritual person, and I don't know if I want to go down that path and so forth. But from what you've expressed and what you wrote in the book, it seem to me that keep moving forward is a matter of, one, combining that spirituality. What does that look like for you? And it's not like, this is the way to be spiritual. It is, what is your way to be spiritual? How do you show up? How do you follow your path? And how do you find your purpose?
Right. So for some people, that expression of purpose is through a business, but for other people, it may be loving their children. Of course, for some people, there's going to be a combination of both. For some people, it's about just being a good person wherever they go. Some people, it's about doing meditation every day and connecting. And for most of us who are spiritual, it's a combination of different things. But not everybody is called to have a business. And that's the thing. You can have a job like you had a job and be spiritual and feel on purpose and have that job be in alignment. That was not the case for you towards the end of your career. Might have been for half the way through, might have been the whole way through. You just weren't awake to it. And when we awaken to our deeper level of ourself, that spiritual self, if you will, that connection with something bigger, then we feel that sense of purpose. It gets to a place where it's not okay to be working something and doing something with so many hours that's out of alignment. And I think that's when some people have spiritual crises. They can get sick, they can get injured, they can have accidents. It's like this great one wants us to do the work we're here to do. And so
sometimes they've got to, the universe just uses a 2x4 in order to get our attention and knock us off the rails that we've been on. So I'm curious also, tell me about the Keep Moving Forward. Where did that title come from, and what's the significance of it in relationship to being on purpose and spiritual and so forth?
Well, when I was writing this book, I had a different title. I don't even remember. The title went through a couple of incarnations, and I posted them on Facebook, got feedback from people. I had a title, again, I don't remember, but I liked it. And I can't remember exactly what happened, but Sue, who wrote the foreword and is the publisher for the book, said to me as I was going through this process of what is the title, she said, well, what do you say to people? What is your saying? And I probably say to my clients more often than anything else, keep moving forward. Just put one foot in front of the other, take the next right action, learn from every experience, just keep moving forward. Because entrepreneurs, especially solopreneurs, often don't keep moving forward. They get stuck. They either get stuck in swirling around in confusion. Sometimes they don't even know what to do, which is why some people work with people like me in doing the work that I have been doing up until recently, and maybe still will do. We'll see. And some people get stuck because of fear. I mean, there's all the reasons why life takes over and they say that's what happened. And sometimes that's all real. Parents get older, need our help. Spouses go through whatever. Children have their experience. I mean, all the things.
Sure.
And So as a solopreneur, an on-purpose solopreneur, to really understand the significance and the power of keep moving forward, and ultimately, I'm going to say, commit to your business. Commit to your business. Those other things will not get in the way of you actually doing the work you're here to do. And boy, is it easy to not do it for a lot of people. Some people just feel, like they're just entrepreneurial. They do it. But a lot of people, it's a learning process, a learning to trust the call, to trust that what you're feeling, you really are here to do, that they need to do it. I mean, so anyhow, you got me started. I can keep going, Steve.
Well, you did write a whole book about it, so you have to have at least a little bit to say on the subject. So one of the things that I hear in that is that, not only is it finding out what your purpose is, getting in tune, in alignment with, the spiritual promptings you're getting, the spiritual nudges you're getting, sometimes even the spiritual 2x4s that come your way. But there's also obstacles that come along the way, or rabbit trails, or shiny objects, or whatever, that it's really easy to get off the rails of living on purpose, of being in alignment. Is that something that you see a lot of? Is it something that a lot of people struggle with in your experience? And how do you keep moving forward when the way forward doesn't look like you think it's supposed to look?
Right on, my friend. Yes, I think a lot of us, as I was mentioning before, all of those life things that happen, the family, the this, the that, the money, there's always money stuff for a lot of people. One of the things that I talk about in the book is your on purpose future self. And so a few years ago, I met my on purpose future self. I actually took clients on a guided journey, and prior to doing that, I did it myself. And I thought, wow, this is really interesting. This is a useful exercise. And I started to do it a few times a year with my clients. And then I began to realize this is powerful. We each have a future on purpose self. And I started to use mine as a North Star. And I created this belief within myself and started to share it with other people that we could actually tune into our future on purpose self. And the guided journey that I take my clients on includes tuning into the feeling of purpose, specifically in your heart. And I invite people to tap into the sense of purpose that the sun has. It just shines its light, that trees have by changing the carbon dioxide into oxygen. It's not effortful. It's just what they do. And that within all of us is this feeling of that there's a sense of this is just what I do. And so the question is, as we tap into that, how do we clarify what the work is that's ours to do, that's us fulfilling that purpose, that this is just what I do. This is just who I am. This just happens with me, and claiming it and naming it. And so it's a process that doesn't happen, or didn't happen for me instantaneously. And so I've been inviting my clients to connect with their future on purpose self regularly. And it's a really cool exercise to do monthly, just to tune in back to her, to use her as the North Star, to clarify what is it that she's doing. What's the next step for me to do? So the answer to your question, based on this experience, is that if a person develops a relationship with their future on purpose self, who is totally fulfilling their purpose, it's a lot easier to stay on track. on what I call your moving sidewalk, which is the path between where you are and where she is.
Mm.
And actually, it's a path that I feel it from the beginning of time to the end of time. Just a moving energy.
Mm. So you're on track, you're on purpose, moving forward to that realization of who you are and where you're headed. I also use the analogy of, following your North Star. It was how I navigated my way out of a really dark period of my life. And for me, that North Star was joy, and to be honest, still is. That as long as I'm heading in the direction of joy, then that I know that I'm heading in the right direction. That doesn't mean that I'm always joyful. It just means that, well, how do I reorient to where it is that I want to be going? Is there a constant nature to your North Star, or to the North Star of your clients? Is there something that you can identify and say, well, I'm on track, or I'm not on track with regards to that?
Yeah, yes. One of the things that I invite people to do when they tune into their future on purpose self is to describe her, like write some qualities about her or him, whatever you are. And that way they can use those qualities, and it's usually a handful. It might even just be one, as that reminder of the North Star. Now, I'm going to be totally honest here with you, Steve. My future on purpose self was actually the same until December.
Mm.
And about my work in December that took a left turn. Well, what happened for anybody who's watching is I was inspired. I had an aha moment where I realized I know how to help speakers be the fullest expression of themselves. And specifically, I work with entrepreneurs, and I prefer to work with on purpose solopreneurs and transformational coaches and healers, and support them in being the fullest expression of themselves when they speak. And until that time, Steve, the vision that I kept getting before I even connected with my future on purpose self was me speaking on stages. Then when I connected with my future on purpose self, what she showed me was that she was on stages. And then in whatever it was, end of November, beginning of December of last year, 2021, when I had that aha that I actually, because of my dance movement therapy experience and my speaking experience, if I put those two together, I can help people I can help them be more vibrant, be more authentically vibrant when they speak. And when I connected to my future on purpose self, I was in a deep state of meditation, and it kept saying, you have to make a left turn. And prior to then, she was always in front of me, down there in front of me. And then during the beginning of December-ish, it was like, you have to make a left turn. I'm like, a left turn? I'm like, okay. And I make this left turn. I don't know where it's left. Anyway, whichever way is left for you, it was left for me. And right over a little creek, there I was. My future on purpose. And she wasn't far away. She was right over a little creek, and her light was shining. And it was like, huh. And so I've been processing that experience because, as I said, I published this book in August based on this idea that was my future on purpose self, and I get a new one, or she's in it, she's different. So I believe, and I probably say this in the book, I change, people change, the world changes. So now I know our future on purpose selves change as well.
Mm. And the way I receive that is that our perception of that on purpose future self changes as we change. I would freak, and the way that I'm taking that in is one of the things that I've said to my wife countless times, to the point that it's a bit of a joke, is especially as I was just starting out on the journey that I'm on now of helping people with their stories and so forth. was I would frequently, in fact, almost weekly, come to her and say, aha, I figured it out. And, and then the next week, aha, I figured it out. And then the next week, aha, I figured it out. And it was like I was, taking a left and then taking a left and then taking a left. And it felt, the world changed, that my perception of the world changed, the way in which I related to the world changed. But where I'm at with that is that while my perception changed, it's still really the same path. In fact, it's coming back to myself, which honestly, having worked with you in December and January and probably February, I would have a little bit of an inside glimpse into what that change in direction looked like, because I was one of the beneficiaries of that change in direction. And what I remember you sharing with me during that time was that while it was a left turn, it was also a return back to an earlier vision that you had for yourself.
Yeah.
That you had felt a purpose that this was actually redirecting you towards.
Yeah, it's interesting because that purpose, that mission came to me when I was around 24 years old, to teach people how to integrate body, mind, emotions, and behavior, and that was what we all needed to do. So the feeling of this work is like it's longer, like the path is actually longer lasting through my life, that sense of mission purpose. And whereas what I was doing, what feels like a shorter piece in this life, and that this is, like it goes through. It's interesting, the feelings that we have that go with all this. So I appreciate that you remember what I said.
Yes, and I think it's really interesting, especially along the lines of the moving sidewalk, that we're on this path that has, as you just said, that it has been going on since the beginning of time and will continue to go on until the end of time, whatever and whenever that is. But it's coming back to ourselves. It's not, and there's changes that we make in returning to ourselves. There are changes that in the way that we respond and interact with others because of our return to the essence of who we are, which makes me wonder how all this fits together. And maybe this is still part of the journey, but what I'm hearing, not only is there a reconnection with ourselves, but it's also with your emphasis in your work in Manifesting Clients Academy, that it is also connecting with the people that we're here to serve. That it's not just an awakening, a personal or a solo awakening for ourselves, but it is an awakening that has ripple effects through the people that we're serving.
Well, I certainly think, again, if we go back to what we were talking about in the beginning, that we are called, those of us who are solopreneurs or entrepreneurs who are called to fulfill our purposes through our business, then we have clients, people, maybe we have soul contracts with them, people who we are here to serve and who we are here to touch, who we are here to make a difference with. And so as each of us, as I awaken to my purpose now and feel it, that feeling of it, and step into providing, in this case, this new service, the Speak with Your Body program, and the subsequent services that I will be creating in the next 3 to 12 months that are next steps for my Speak with Your Body clients, these entrepreneurs who are stepping into being the fullest expression of themselves. If you're inviting me in this moment to tune into them energetically. And the beauty of that, Steve, is that when we do that, that is at the core of manifesting clients, of being a magnet. Because when we're aligned with what we're here to do, we've crafted the services that allow us to do that work with the people that we're here to help, divinely matched, if you will, energetically, divinely, somehow or another, there's a match, or we wouldn't be called. And when we tune into them, we become a magnet to them coming into our lives.
I like the way you use the words soul contract, that when we are on our purpose, when we are in alignment with our contract, if you will, with the universe, with God, with whatever, that it's not just a solo journey. We may be solopreneurs, and I love being a solopreneur. Best boss I ever had, by the way. But our healing, our journey, our expression is more fully realized as we share that with other people, right? That when we live into who we are meant to be, who we are on the moving sidewalk to become, that it isn't just, well, I had a great life, and I pat myself on the back for being such a good guy or whatever. But it's really the way that we manifest, the way that we live out our purpose is in service to other people, is in helping them on their journey.
Well, so from my perspective, again, I'm going to come back to, if we're called to do our purpose as entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, then that is for sure the case, because we have clients that we're here to help or work with or teach or inspire or whatever it is. That is built into the actual calling, that they're there and we need other people. Some people, in my perspective, as a person who's been on the spiritual journey for a while, I don't think it has to have other people involved. I think some people who are not necessarily solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, yes, there is an outpouring that has to involve other people. I don't think it's the case for everybody. I think for some people, there is some paths in a lifetime where it is just about the person and their own work and their own process with connecting, with forgiveness, with self-love, with awakening. And maybe that's not true. Maybe everybody, whether they're entrepreneurial or not, it ends up becoming something that involves other people. I do not have that. I don't have access to that truth, that wisdom or not. All I know is that we're individual.
Sure. Yeah. And as you're sharing that, two things come to mind for me. One, in the work that we did in the last few months, and for me coming out and expressing myself more fully, I was getting more in touch and more free to express myself more fully, to reconnect my mind, my heart, and my body, that there wasn't just, me recounting facts or whatever. And so I think, that there's that part of us when we're on purpose that is a matter of self-expression. But I also think about, as you were sharing what you were sharing, I was thinking about my older brother who has dealt with mental health issues since the beginning of time, and he's only held a handful of jobs in his lifetime, and most of his experience is in being cared for rather than caring for other people. But even in so doing, as I care for him, as my wife cares for him, as we be in service to him, he's still having an impact on who we are. I think it's honestly really hard to be that man on the island, that John Donne talked about forever ago. We all have an impact on other people, and it shows up in different ways. I think one of the things that's beautiful about the entrepreneurial journey is that we have a more direct path and perhaps a broader ranging impact. Most definitely a more fully realized, intentional path. I mean, as I read in a book recently, as entrepreneurs, we are result oriented. If we aren't producing results, if we aren't being measured by the results that we produce, and we're also not really succeeding very well in business, because our clients are the people that we work with want results. And so my brother isn't, really conscious of what the results he's producing. At the same time, he's still producing results. He's the kind of the means by which I, look at value in life. How do we value people that look differently, or that act differently? And it expands my appreciation, my understanding, and maybe a bit of my compassion when I recognize, that we're all here on different journeys, and our journeys are all different, and we don't have to, check all the same boxes. That for him, his boxes that he has on his checklist, his soul contract, if you will, are very different than the boxes that I have on my soul contract.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting, this diversity of humanity that's around. But yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, that we all touch other people. No one lives on an island.
Yeah. So, I love the idea of, as we fully live into who we are, as we live into our on purpose contract, if you will, that we have the opportunity. And I also hear a bit of kind of law of attraction or manifesting. You use manifesting quite frequently in your expression, in your content, and so forth. But that all we don't have. I'm hearing possibly a bit of hope that we don't have to worry so much about how to attract our clients, as much as how do we live into who we are, and as we live into our expression and say yes to the opportunities that come before us, that will be that natural progression of clients coming in. I mean, your business, your academy is Manifesting Clients Academy. It's not, we'll beat them over the head with a 2x4 or something. The academy. It's
Yes, that's true. And just so you know, I will probably be creating a new website and possibly changing the name of my business over the next 6 to 12 months. But I love Manifesting Clients Academy. So that's going to be a really challenging decision. But because of that left turn, it's possible that it's going to change. And we'll see. Because of what you're saying, there is a lot of truth to what you're saying. And I still stand by all that you're pointing to. And at the same time, as entrepreneurs, we need to have the pieces in place that allow the people who tune into us to come and work with us. Let's say, for example, there's someone who watches this and likes my vibe, feels like, oh, wow, that Kathryn Yarborough, there's something about her I want more of. And if they type in Kathryn Yarborough and can't find anything, then that's it. That's gone. Unless they go, well, I know Steve. Let me reach out to Steve. And then you say, well, her group is the Vibrant Entrepreneurs Group. So find her there, or go to her website, Manifesting Clients Academy. And if they go to Manifesting Clients Academy, and within there's a right next step for them to take that makes sense, that is congruent, because I put that time and attention and intention into my business planning by tuning in to them energetically before this even happened, and following the next right step and asking for divine guidance as I was feeling if all of those things are in place, then there's a flow. Otherwise, that person can't find me, or hits a roadblock, or something else. But if we've got both sides of the equation, the outer work and the inner work, yes, easy peasy. People just come to you like moths to a flame, even though that's a horrible metaphor.
maybe kids do the ice cream truck.
There you go. Kids do an ice cream truck, even though we don't really want them to eat all that ice cream and sugar, but yummy, it's good. A little bit here and there is not horrible.
Yeah. But yes, that magnetic attraction that happens. But we do have to do the inner work and the outer work. And honestly, that's why I call, it Heroes of the Heart, that we have to listen to what's going on inside of our heart. How do we listen to the messages, to the inspiration, to the direction to turn left when we think we need to be turning right, or, just continuing forward on our path, that sometimes forward is left,
Oh, just so I'm sorry to interrupt you, but today, in the last 2 days, I downloaded the path for my business and the funnel, if you will, for the offers. And I finally feel like it's no longer a left turn, but it's in front of me. It's the evolved me is in front of me that's doing this work. So
nice.
Anyhow, it feels really, really good. I don't think it
is aligning, if you will.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm thinking of like driving along the freeway in Washington, D.C. or something, but sometimes the freeway veers left, and the way to go forward to where it is you want to go, you follow the road that's in front of you. At the same time, we create the path, just like you are in the process of creating for yourself and your business and your clients, the path forward by doing what you just were talking about before, making sure that there is a way for people who hear you and are introduced to you, have a way to get to you so that they can benefit from the work that you're doing. That it's not just we can't just sit in our lazy boy and, binge watch Netflix and chow down on that ice cream from the ice cream truck.
We could, but it's not going to likely have those people knocking on our doors or emailing us or messaging us.
Absolutely. So as we keep moving forward, as we live on purpose, as we follow the spiritual path that we are on, there is some work that's involved with that. And there's both the internal work as well as the external work. And they're both really valuable and essential to the journey that we're on.
Agreed.
So as we come to a close today, one, I want to be sure that our audience has a means by which to connect with you. And you've already mentioned the Vibrant Entrepreneurs Facebook group. And we have the Manifesting Clients Academy.com, right?
Correct.
And I know that on that website, you also have an opportunity for people to tell us about the worksheet that you have put together.
So right when you go to manifestingclientsacademy.com, on the homepage, there's a self-assessment for entrepreneurs. Basically, are you ready for more clients? And it's a great self-assessment to go through because you look at the inner and the outer work of manifesting clients, and you give yourself a rating, and after you go through the process of this self-assessment, you'll be like, okay, I need to work on this, and I need to work on that, and I need to work on that. And you'll have a clear path of what you need to work on. It's a really useful tool. So just go to manifestingclientsacademy.com, and you'll also be signing up for my e-list. So you'll get some emails from me. I haven't been sending out many for the last couple of months because I've been left turning, but I'm getting ready to come out of that. And I will probably send you an email approximately once every week or two about something I'm up to or something that I hope will be useful for folks.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I've been getting your emails for a while. I'm also a member of your Vibrant Entrepreneurs Facebook group. And, it's just great to be able to hang out with you and to receive all that you're putting out there. My body thanks you in that it's not trapped up inside, whatever the metaphor is supposed to be, but hopefully you'll understand what I'm trying to say, that, that there's so much of us to it that can express. And when we give freedom to that expression, then some amazing things can happen. So to our listening audience, we wish you all the riches of the heart that are available to you, and we invite you to be the bright light in someone's dark night.
Mhm.